only are my students more engaged, but they come through my door and they're asking, what are we reading today?
CTL's Artful Reading program strengthens literacy instruction by integrating the arts. Arts integration uses teaching practices that have been shown in brain-based research to improve comprehension and long-term retention. The provided lessons, grounded in research-based instructional strategies, engage students in visual arts, dance, music, and drama experiences to make powerful literacy connections while meeting both national literacy standards and national core arts anchor standards. Artful Reading promotes an innovative and rigorous approach to reading, writing, speaking, and listening by utilizing high-interest and varied texts along with unique arts materials.
It's probably the most amazing thing ever because you don't have to come up with the lesson plans yourself. They're already made. They already have the standards listed for you. They have before reading activities, they have during reading activities, and they have after reading activities as well, which is amazing in and of itself. So the before reading activities can kind of build that schema, building that background knowledge, helping those kids start making those connections with what they're going to be doing. And then when you get into the during reading, a lot of times that's going to involve the core text, and then there might be some other activities that involve the core text that will also help kind of to deepen that meaning for those kids as well. As you can see, I go through mine, I highlight it, I write notes in it. But the fact that, it has everything laid out for you as a teacher, that's a huge treasure in and of itself.
Teachers will receive a variety of Artful Reading modules and coaching support throughout the year. Each module contains a core text, supplemental, informational, and literary texts, arts materials, and educational resources. For example, one of our 5th grade modules, Henry's Freedom Box, explores the actions and bravery of those who were willing to take risks for the freedom of others. By analyzing the traits of characters and self, students work to develop healthy social and emotional responses. Experiences embedded through this module allow students to make connections between historical content, their own experiences, and the world around them. A collaborative quilting project provides a unique platform for students to demonstrate their understanding of content. Additionally, through both informal and formal writing and academic dialogue experiences, this module promotes accelerated language and literacy development. Before, during, and after the implementation of an Artful Reading module, CTL coaches are there to continuously support teachers, on-site and from a distance, through the use of foundational training, lesson refining protocols, rubric development, classroom observations, co-teaching, modeling, and more. We develop literacy leadership skills within your teachers, coaches, and administration to support your district's short and long-term literacy efforts. CTL's Artful Reading program is a powerful curriculum that has been shown to impact teacher practice and student learning. With the KyCL grant, you have the unique opportunity to systemically align instruction in your district from preschool through high school by coupling Artful Reading with our adolescent literacy model. Collectively, CTL's programs provide consistent, literacy-based learning experiences for students of every age and teachers of every grade. All of CTL's programs are grounded in our 4 pillars of comprehensive literacy, as we promote a balance between the literacy subdomains, professional learning, coaching, and literacy leadership. Each of these play an equally important role in implementing and sustaining an effective literacy initiative.
Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch our video on Artful Reading. So we would like to just take a few moments to provide some additional information about how Artful Reading fits inside of the KyCL grant. So we are 2 of the coaches that work for CTL, and we just want to introduce ourselves briefly, and then we'll begin with a little Q&A. So my name is Jennifer Wright, and I am an educational program specialist at the Collaborative for Teaching and Learning, and this is my colleague, Ashley.
Hi, so I am Ashley Perkins, and I'm also an educational program specialist at CTL, or the Collaborative for Teaching and Learning.
Perfect. So again, thank you for joining us. So we have just a couple of questions that will hopefully give you a better idea of what this would look like and how artful reading would fit inside of your district. So Ashley, let's say I am the principal of a school and I'm ready to adopt artful reading. What teachers in my building would artful reading be designed for?
All teachers. So yeah, artful reading is really designed with every teacher in mind. So it can be, it has been, it is being implemented in traditional self-contained classrooms, classrooms that are departmentalized, resource classrooms, being implemented by the library media specialists or by the arts specialist in your building, whether that's visual arts or music or dance or drama. And these modules can be taught by a single teacher in any of those above scenarios or by a team of teachers. For example, a classroom teacher might team up with the library media specialist and share parts and pieces of a module, or a classroom teacher might collaborate with the music teacher to implement the modules, and again sharing the parts and pieces that make sense for people's content expertise.
Perfect. So Ashley, so I know that there's a foundational training that happens typically in that summer or at the beginning of the school year. So what exactly would my teachers receive as a part of that training that would prepare them to effectively implement their artful reading module?
Yeah, so the first introduction that your teachers will get of CTL is we come to your district for a 2-day foundational training, and we bring with us to that 2-day foundational training the very first module. So the very first one of the 4 in that series across that first year of implementation. So they get the box and all the parts and pieces that are inside the module, as well as the guidebook that has all of the lessons needed in order to deliver that module. So that's the first part. But then they also receive 2 days of content that is being delivered using research-based literacy strategies. And so, you know, the value of that is then they now have additional research-based literacy strategies that they can take back to their classrooms and use not only inside artful reading modules, but to use when they do any instruction inside of their day. So they receive that. And then they also receive in those 2 days time to unpack the module. So really reading those lessons closely, being able to have thought partners, having this network of people who might teach like grade or teach a grade below or a grade above. They have us there. So they're able to really unpack those lessons and begin thinking about where inside my first 9 weeks does this module make the most sense. So they're thinking about their students' needs, they're thinking about the standards that are identified in these lessons and where they make the most sense given that window. They think about what other curriculum am I already implementing, and where would this align, where would this module align with the curriculum that I'm using. So there's that piece. They also have time to build out a calendar. So really thinking about which day and when, so that autonomy. This program really allows teachers to decide when the module makes the best sense for them and to plan accordingly. And then they also have time to create a rubric that matches one of the 3 summative writing tasks that, again, they self-identify. And then we use a protocol to give and receive feedback on that rubric development.
Yeah, there are a lot of really nice pieces that I've seen come out of that foundational training. And not only the collaboration, like you mentioned, and that vertical alignment between teachers and giving them that space to have those conversations. But I really also like that teachers come out of not only being able to just go ahead and implement, being ready to implement the artful reading module, but those strategies that you spoke of, them finding a place to utilize those research-based solid strategies in other areas of their instruction. And so it really starts making the artful reading experience extend beyond that box. And teachers really start seeing a shift in teachers' practice because they are utilizing those strategies in other areas of their instruction. So I really love that. So thank you, Ashley. So a focus of this grant is on professional learning. So beyond that foundations training, what other support does CTL offer to ensure that the focus of literacy remains constant throughout the entire school year?
Yeah. So after the 2 days of foundational training, teachers will meet with their CTL coach face-to-face as a group or as a cohort 3 other times across the school year. So once every 9 weeks, a new module will be introduced to that teacher. And when the teachers receive those modules, we spend a day, and in the first part of that day, we really reflect on the implementation of the last module, right? Mm-hmm. So we do that by showcasing student work. We talk about any obstacles or challenges, any modifications, adaptations. So we celebrate and reflect on where we've been, and then we use the other part of the day to plan for our next module. So there's that piece. So we have our 2 days of foundations training, then 3 additional 1-day trainings where the modules are handed over to the teachers. Mm-hmm. But then teachers also receive from us in between those 4 meetings on-site and distance coaching support. So a CTL coach, one coach will service your building or buildings, and sometimes 2, depending on size. And we come to the coaching conversation from a cognitive coaching model and mindset. And so we really want teachers to be able to name and identify where they want support, coaching support around their own personal, professional learning needs. Mm-hmm. So that can look so many ways. But ways that I've seen it inside of Artful Reading is teachers asking us to come in and co-teach a lesson, teachers asking us to come in and model a lesson, teachers asking for support with small group instructions, for breakout sessions. We also follow a peer observation protocol with a before and a during and after piece. And so that's something else that we do. Sometimes it's giving feedback on the rubric. Sometimes it's helping them analyze student work after they have implemented one of the lessons. Sometimes it's helping them think about how to formatively assess. So lots of different ways that we can support, but I think the most important piece to that is it's really customized to the teacher needs.
Yeah. And that is a really beautiful piece. It's not a one-size-fits-all coaching. Not everybody gets the same thing because not everybody needs the same support. So I really like that piece of our coaching model. Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. So now I get to ask Jennifer a few questions. Mm-hmm. You ready, Jen?
I am.
Okay, so we are both classroom teachers, right, by training, and so I think we can relate to this scenario, right? Whenever a new initiative comes into your district and time is spent going through training and receiving resources, people are super pumped, there's a lot of energy, there's buzz, and then oftentimes, for a number of reasons, some of that energy begins to fade, right? So how do we CTL really, what do we put in place for districts so that this work can carry on after the life of the grant and after their CTL support isn't there?
Yeah, so sustainability is a really big thing that we need to make sure that we have in place so that this grant and the work that was done under this grant wasn't all for nothing, and that it continues on. So beyond that classroom experience and the supporting of the individual classroom teacher, CTL coaches also work with the district literacy leadership team to help build their capacity that will then sustain the work in the district. So as part of that support, we come together, we build a common language, we create explicit expectations and identify the roles of each person in that in that setting. And then we create a plan to communicate and support those expectations. So CTL works with the literacy leadership team to build a culture of literacy across the school to promote sustainability of the literacy work that will extend the timeline or exceed the timeline of the KyCL grant.
Yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful pieces, is that as a CTL coach, we work at the classroom level, alongside teachers. Then we get to work with that network of teachers on the literacy leadership team. We also work closely with coaches and with admin. Yeah, it's beautiful. So even we as CTL folks really kind of have this nice overview to that culture piece.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of a literacy coach, if a district hires a literacy coach as part of the grant, as part of KyCL, how are we going to integrate that coach into the work? What kind of supports do we offer? Because we know that it's a new position. Sometimes it's a position that a district chooses to fill internally, or they might go outside their district, but it's a brand new position. So how do we support that?
Yeah, and a lot of times those coaches, whether they come from the grant or they've already been in place or whatever, they're usually flying solo, right? They're the only person in that district typically that is serving in that capacity. And so who do they lean on for support and where do they go? So one of the great pieces that CTL offers is that not only do they get to participate in those meetings that we have with the district literacy team, but we also have opportunities for them to come where we gather all of this KyCL coaches from across the state, and we have them come together in a very collaborative space to build that coaching capacity within their district. So coaches will connect with others to reflect on their district's implementation. They develop action plans that is specific to their own district needs. They learn about relevant resources. Maybe somebody from the other end of the state has discovered this wonderful resource that they can then learn about and bring back to their own district. And then just to share ideas. So we collaborate constantly with those coaches, help them expand on their own internal capacity as literacy leaders in their district, and through a gradual release process. So the big things is that we want our coaches to build competency and confidence in themselves and in their work so that they can be effective.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm an administrator in my district. What kind of supports are there for me, or what kind of expectations are there for me inside of Artful Reading, inside this program?
Sure. So CTL knows that there is that a balance of both internal and external support is crucial to the success of any new initiative. So talking about that sustainability piece too. So we work to position the school-based personnel as the leaders of this work from day one. So we hold the expectation that school administrators actively engage in the training, those coaching conversations that we have in between each of those trainings, but that will help establish a school-wide literacy culture that helps everyone share in the goal-setting piece of that and embrace a common understanding of what Artful Reading is and what it looks like and how it fits into your specific school or district. So kind of puts everybody together in the same space. So yeah, administrators have a really crucial role in this work.
Thank you. So we hope to work with you in your district inside of this KyCL grant. Please feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions. Our website is ctlonline.org, where you can go and read about our program offerings. You can also call our office at 502-895-9500. And then also on our website are our emails. If you feel compelled to reach out via email, and you will get a quick response to any questions that you might have around our programming.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
We look forward to speaking with you about how we can help address the literacy needs of your district. Learn more about us at ctlonline.org or contact us at 502-895-9500.